Cassidy, Ivanishин, and Wagner said goodbye to their crewmates Kate Rubin and Sergei Ryzhikov earlier today with a hatch closing at 3:24 p.m. Central Time. This is some recorded video of that hatch closing. You can see Cassidy there along with Ivanishин. They said goodbye to their crewmates Kate Rubin, Sergei Ryzhikov, and Sergei Kuzverchkov earlier before closing those hatches. And that was the last view that we'll get of them until we see them coming out of the Soyuz on the ground in Kazakhstan. That again was hatch closing at 3:24, and since then, the Soyuz undocked from the International Space Station at 6:32 p.m. Central Time. Before doing that, they were able to get all the required leak checks and preparations done on time, and that set them on their way for today's 9:55 p.m. Central landing. They've since been moving into position about 20 miles away from the space station and are just about ready to go for the deorbit burn, which will take place at 9 p.m. Central. Just 24 minutes from now. And there's the video we've been waiting on. Soyuz under its parachute, making its way down for today's landing. That should be coming up very soon at this point. Just before landing, Ivanishин will get a notice from the computers to prepare to fire 6 solid propellant engines called the soft landing engines and slow the Soyuz down to 5 feet per second, or about 3.5 miles per hour. And you can see Soyuz has now touched down in Kazakhstan, 9:54 p.m. Central Time. After 196 days in space, 3,136 orbits, and 83 million miles, Chris Cassidy, Anatoly Ivanishин, and Ivan Wagner are home. Again, that landing coming at 9:54 p.m. Central Time, just a smidge early. Once again, the Soyuz MS-16 did touch down at 9:54 p.m. Central Time. That's 8:54 a.m. in Kazakhstan, where it landed. You can see the recovery team making its way to the landing spot. They'll begin landing and moving in to meet the crew, help them out of the capsule in the next few minutes. Once they do, hopefully we'll be able to get some video from the landing site. Long trip, but I'm sure it'll be good for him to be home. We're getting a little bit more video now as the crew continues to be extracted. Now seeing Ivan Wagner, this again coming from Roscosmos. Looks like we've got 2 of the 3 crew members out now, and we'll keep watching for Anatoly Ivanishин, who should be up next. You can see a few of the NASA personnel who are gathered out at the landing site. All of these groups will be making their way back to Rob Navius and meeting them, and Jessica's gone, as he mentioned a moment ago. And there is Anatoly Ivanishин as well out of the capsule. All the crew members looking good. As you can see, as Rob mentioned, all of the people who are meeting them there wearing masks to help protect them, an additional layer of protection, and beyond the quarantine that these these members of the landing team would have gone through as well. Rob, if you're still there, I don't know what it is for you in Karaganda, but it looks like the weather's pretty pleasant for the team at the landing site.
Yeah, the landing time temperature, Brandy, was about 45 degrees Fahrenheit. A cold front moved through this region late yesterday and overnight and passed just to the east of the landing zone just in time for touchdown. It is cloudy here in Karaganda, but we're in Jezkazgan, where we're headed here a short time from now. The sun should be out, the landing occurring 1 hour and 3 minutes after sunrise. And as we speak, the pilots, the NASA pilots out of Bellington Field nearby the Johnson Space Center are revving up the engines to this NASA Gulfstream jet, and we'll be taking off a short time from now.
It's looking like the crew members might be moving into the medical tent before too long as well. We just saw the landing team there pausing for a group photo. Again, everybody looking really good for having just spent 196 days in space. Though we didn't get video of the landing itself, we did get reports, and you can just make it out there in the background behind the crowd. The Soyuz did land upright, and we're able to get confirmation from the teams who met them that the crew was feeling well. Now we're able to see that for ourselves. Everybody looking like they are feeling good and should be able to move on to the medical tent before too long. Rob, do you know if Cassidy has made any special request for food that the team members might have ready for him on the plane?
That's a great question, Brandy, and actually, in true SEAL fashion, he made no request. He said whatever was on board would be just fine. As I mentioned, we will have one refueling stop en route to Houston, in which there'll be some catering of food for the passengers on board, including Cassidy. I think he's just happy to be home after 196 days in space.
Seeing Anatoly Ivanishin right now, but yes, all the crew members are looking pretty happy to be home. Team members still unloading some of the limited cargo that the Soyuz is able to carry as well. And Ivanishin there being the first to move off towards the medical tent. This again is a tent that is brought with the team that meets the Soyuz at the landing site so that they can get into a protected area to change out of their so-called spacesuits and go through a few preliminary tests before they then will get on the helicopters for that 40-minute ride that Rob mentioned back to Jezkazgan, where they'll be met by planes to take them back to their various homes. Ivanishin and Wagner both on their way now to the medical tent. You can see what that tent looks like in this view. Chris Cassidy, it looks like making a phone call back to home and now on his way to the tent as well. Crew members are carried in the chairs just to be extra safe and prevent any possibility of a trip as they are experiencing gravity again for the first time in 196 days. So there, the crew members making their way into the medical tent. That is the last that we'll see of them tonight. Once again, today's landing wraps up a 196-day stay in space for the members of the Expedition 63 crew. With that 196 days added to his total, Chris Cassidy has now spent 378 days in space over the course of 3 missions. That puts him at number 5 on the list of time spent in space for U.S. astronauts. Anatoly Ivanishin, meanwhile, also having made 3 journeys to space now has a total of 476 days in space, landing him a spot on the all-time list at the 25th place. And Ivan Wagner just completing his first space flight, now with 196 days on his total.